Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at one of the smoothest linear switches on the market, the Gateron Oil King. Let's get started. Now, the Oil Kings feature a nylon top housing, a POM stem, a black plated spring, and a secret ink blend bottom housing. They're also factory lubed on the rails and stem, plus they're 5-pin PCB mounted. Now, pricing wise, these are $22.75 for 35 switches on Gateron's website, placing these in the mid-range. And this is what they look like when disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch characteristics. On-center key presses are quite smooth with minor inconsistencies. However, for whatever reason, some of the switches stick down when pressed very slowly, which you can hear in very quiet situations. Off-center key presses are also quite smooth, although they have noticeably more inconsistencies. The sticking down effect is slightly more prominent. Overall, even with all that said, they're still decently smooth switches, and the sticking down effect became a non-issue after a week of use. 7 out of 10. Now, according to Gateron, these switches have an actuation force of 55 grams at 2mm and a bottom out distance of 4mm. Now, in terms of the actual key feel, I didn't feel that they were out of spec. Maybe the actuation is a little heavier than I expected, but it's all within Gateron's margin. Overall, these are up my alley weighting wise and are within touching distance when compared to a lot of top tier linear switches. 8 out of 10. Now, these are possibly the deepest and thockiest sounding switches I've reviewed so far, plus they're also very quiet. Overall, if you're looking for an ultra thocky sounding switch, this one is probably for you. 7 out of 10. Now, take a listen and enjoy. Now, they have two issues regarding typing. Let me start with those first. Firstly, they felt quite sluggish to type on during the first week of use, as if there was something slowing them down both on the up and downstroke. I'm not sure why this happened or what the cause was, but I suspect it's the lubrication Gateron used or how they applied it. However, I'm glad to report that this is no longer an issue and all the switches have become consistent performers after a constant week of use. Also, just as a side note, the factory lubing is more than adequate and is one of the best I've seen for a stock switch. Secondly, they were quite inconsistent due to the sluggish performance during the first week, which made for an unpleasant typing experience. It only usually takes a day or two at most to break in a switch, not 1 week. So this was an unusual case to say the least. Overall, I haven't come across any major issues with them since, and I can even see myself installing these in a future build. 8 out of 10. Now, gaming isn't what they were designed for, but they performed very well here, especially in fast-paced games. Additionally, they didn't suffer nearly as much from the sticking down or the sluggishness as mentioned before. They're also pretty suitable for slow-paced games as well. Overall, even though they tired me out after a few hours of gaming, I didn't find too much fault with these, and I'm happy to recommend them to anyone looking for a smooth, heavily weighted linear switch. 8 out of 10. In conclusion, this is an excellent choice for those either upgrading from an older MX switch or for those looking for a heavily weighted smooth linear switch without needing any modifications. The final score for the switch is 38 out of 50 or 76%, making these the second best linear switch overall. That's very impressive. And that's the end of the review. Next time, I'm not actually sure what I'll be testing. Anyway, until then, take care and goodbye.